The following is a presentation on the UFSN network. Welcome to the UFAFL Nation.
That means it's another edition of UFAFL Nation. I'm your host, Michael Skrzyniak. We got a big show lined up for you today. We got some breaking news with a massive trade in the UFAFL right before we started recording. And then after that, we're going to talk to Red Zone Dragons General Manager Brad Nyikos. We'll get him to break down the deal with us. And then we'll get into the NFL recap where my Titans get another big win. UFAFL recap, we had a huge matchup with the Hydra. We moved to 6-1, and then we preview a big matchup in Week 8. Stock up, stock down, and then my best bets. So you guys can reach me at Twitter at Michael SKRZ. You can find the league on Twitter at the UFAFL. Also UFAFL_scouting, headed by Jamie Thomas. Always does a great job over there. If you have any questions, you can always email us at info@uffsports.com. And then the website's down there at the bottom of the screen as well. So before we get to this breaking deal, we want to talk about our Merchtober giveaway, guys. It's going to probably be the last week that we do this. Thank you to Mike Ross, co-owner of the Stormbreakers, who won last week. Thank you, Mike, for taking the time to hit me up on Twitter. And guys, you know what you have to do. Mike at Michael SKRZ with the hashtag SkrizzyStat. You got the stat over there in the bottom right-hand corner. The GOAT, Tom Brady, just breaking more records. That was a cool little moment this past Sunday where Mike Evans threw that ball into the stands, and then Brady had some negotiations with the fan, and the guy got a pretty decent haul. He could have probably held out a little bit longer. He would have had better leverage if he actually just kept the ball instead of giving it to the staff member right after the touchdown. You got a couple of jerseys, some season tickets for this year and next year, $1,000 to the Bucks team store. He didn't do bad. I might have held out for a little bit more, but there's the stat, guys. So remember, hashtag SkrizzyStat at Michael SKRZ. Christmas is just around the corner, guys, so there's some pretty cool gift ideas. We got Brad on. Maybe you'll get a Red Zone Dragons logo on a tumbler for his coffee. Get some red hot coffee in there. The Hydra can put a Hydra logo for a water bottle. I think that's a kind of a cool idea. So plenty of things over there, guys. You got the store website down there at the bottom of the screen. So let's get into this massive deal where the Crypto Warriors send Jonathan Taylor, Jerry Hughes, a first rounder and a second rounder next year to the CanWest Gladiators for Dalvin Cook and a bunch of guys. Kyle Rudolph I know, but a bunch of other guys I don't really know. So CanWest does pretty well on this deal, I think. Jonathan Taylor, a young, cheap asset, still on his rookie deal, plus picks for Dalvin Cook, an aging asset who hasn't really shown like he could be healthy through a full season. I don't really understand this trade. Like, okay, obviously Dalvin Cook, when he's healthy, is a phenomenal player. You might say right after Christian McCaffrey, he might be the best athlete out there on the running, like for running backs. But Jonathan Taylor, he's been really, really good the last couple weeks. The offensive line for the Colts is outstanding, and Carson Wentz isn't turning the ball over. So I really don't understand this deal. I think CanWest Gladiators just did excellent on this deal. We can bring Brad Nyikos in, GM of the Red Zone Dragons. Brad, thank you for taking the time. What do you think about this deal?
I don't like this deal, to be honest with you. I don't like it. I know Uchenna Nwosu was a fairly high pick for the Chargers, but he's really been mediocre this year. I mean, you've got Cook, who's amazing when he's healthy, but he's 28, and for running backs, that's about the end of the line. So I think CanWest did amazing, and then you get 2 picks on top of it. I mean, you can get much better value for those. I just feel like they gave way too much. If I wouldn't even touch this deal, but if I was going to, it would have been Jonathan Taylor straight up for those assets, and I probably would have wanted more if it was me.
Yeah, Taylor, like that game against the Ravens, he took like a 75-yard catch all the way to the end zone. Against the Texans, he busted out that 84-yard run, and then he had a really good game against the Niners this past weekend, like in a rainstorm. That offense, like they have some decent matchups coming up. Like I still think they play the Jets. They got the Titans this week, a defense you're not afraid of. Dalvin Cook, like,
Yeah,
is he going to play this week? Like, we don't know with that guy, right? So yeah, it's just a weird deal. But let's move on, Brad. I want to talk to you about your squad. Two
sure.
games, 2 wins in a row for the squad. You're 3-4 now after beating the Surf Dogs. You're one and a half games back of the Paradise Blackhawks in the division. You got some really, I really like a lot of your players, like Aaron Rodgers right now, QB9 in UFAFL scoring. DeAndre Swift, maybe the surprise of the squad. He's RB2 after week 7. Mark Andrews, tight end 2 in UFAFL scoring. And then you got Justin Tucker. How do you like the squad right now? Is there anything you're looking to improve? Yeah, how are you feeling right now after week 7?
I love this team. We've definitely had more injuries than I was hoping for at the wide receiver spot, but I mean, overall, injuries haven't really killed us too much this year. I'd say the biggest thing we're looking to improve is maybe pick up another linebacker or some pass rushers, just because sacks score so much in this league, and those sack yards as well, and the turnover yards. Those really make a big difference. Overall, though, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I think we've got a fairly good stretch coming up, and we have a good shot to make it back over 500 and make a run for the division.
Yeah, so you have a couple of Ravens on bye this week, but yeah, the team looks strong. Rodgers is going to be in a tough matchup with the Cardinals this week. Question for you. I just want to know how, like, I always ask whenever I get one of the guys from the league on the show, because you guys come from all corners. You guys have been playing fantasy your whole life. You're all football fans. How did you get involved with UFF Sports and the UFAFL? Because I know the football team isn't the only team you're involved in.
No, it's not. I've also GM a basketball team, the GOAT, as well. Actually, Ian Constable got me involved. He's a hockey, football, and now a basketball owner. So he's actually in a Discord group that I've been playing with for about 4 years, and he mentioned it, and so I followed up with him, and he got me involved, and I've been around since like June now.
Interesting. So, yeah, with basketball, like, do you plan on expanding more? Like, is basketball, football your only like two sports? Do you plan on getting into hockey, baseball, or anything like that? Or are you strictly like football, basketball guy?
No, I watch a lot of sports. I'm contemplating whether I'm going to get involved in baseball and the Legends League for football. Legends League for football would probably be a big thing for me. I'm a big Madden player, so I really like that format. But probably if I do anything, it'll probably be Legends League. Baseball just takes so much time. You have to do so much scouting. I just don't know if I want to deal with it.
Yeah, I can't really blame you for that. So you say you're a Madden player, you're a gamer, you're going to get involved in the Legends League. Like I can tell by your headphones that you're probably a gamer, because those things look pretty intense, pal. And yeah, like, have you been like do you Twitch or anything like that? Is there anything we can promote for you? Because I know like the Twitch stream with Madden, I see it on TV every once in a while. Like, are you like heavy into it, or are you just like you just play by yourself, play online?
I just play by myself and play online. I don't do any streaming currently. I've debated whether I wanted to or not, but I'm kind of getting used to the new Madden. With the new competitive settings, have been kind of hard. So I think I finally got it down. So I may start doing that again. But no, not currently.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, dude, for taking the time talking about the squad. I love the DMs that we have back and forth. You're always telling me to keep an eye on the team, and boys are looking strong right now. So good luck for the rest of the season. Thank you for taking the time today, and we'll talk down the line.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me. Have a good day.
Well, thank you to Brad Nyikos of the Red Zone Dragons for taking the time once again. What a great interview. I love hearing more personality from everybody in the UFAFL, because we only go by group chats. So to get the face-to-face contact in there and to find out a little bit about the GMs and the owners and everybody, it's just it makes me feel good. A little bit of a family here at the UFAFL. So I want to get into the NFL recap from bye-mageddon on week 7. First team I'm going to talk about, my boys, the Tennessee Titans. Turnover sink the Chiefs as the Titans dominate the AFC champs. If you would have bet Derrick Henry would have thrown the first touchdown of Sunday, you probably would have won a lot of money. Patrick Mahomes, an interception and loses a fumble as the Titans dominate the Chiefs 27-3 in Nashville. Guys, I know I'm biased, but back-to-back wins against the Bills and Chiefs should probably be talked about a little bit more. I still have questions about the O-line. They seem to have an injury every week. Like, they already lost left tackle Taylor Lewan. Left guard Roger Saffold's been kind of in and out of games. Center Ben Jones has a knock. Right guard Nate Davis also gets hurt basically every game. And then the secondary is also banged up as well. They're missing 2 of their starting corners. But if they get some bodies back with the upcoming schedule, like it's not the toughest thing. Like they have a big game against the Colts this weekend, but the Titans are looking pretty good, I must say. And for the Chiefs, it's you got to be worried, especially about the defense. They're 28th in the NFL in yards allowed. That's 1 spot behind the Jets. So that's how you know it's going bad. So you pair that terrible defense with the fact that they've turned the ball over 17 times. That's 5 more than the second worst team in the NFL. That's 5 more than like the Jaguars and the Texans. So you pair those 2 things together, and it's possible that the Chiefs could miss out on the playoffs. Like it's unfathomable to think, especially at the start of the season, but that's where we are with the Chiefs. They just don't look good. The O-line that they spent all this money on isn't in sync right now, so I don't feel sorry for Chiefs fans, but for all of us with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes in our home leagues, you might be worried. I still think better things are yet to come. Like they got the Giants this upcoming Monday, but then you got the Packers and Raiders. Chiefs better figure things out quickly, or else you guys are going to miss the playoffs. Second game I want to talk about. Ja'Marr Chase shines for the Bengals as they defeat the Ravens and take the lead in the AFC North. I think Ja'Marr Chase, safe to say, is already locked up Offensive Rookie of the Year. 201 yards and a touchdown against a defense that shut down the Chargers a week ago. Massive win for the Bengals and for their fans. Did you know right now that they're the number 1 seed in the AFC if the playoffs started today? Don't think anybody would have called that. Joe Burrow, 416 yards, a career best. He looks great coming off that injury last season. And yeah, the Bengals, just the best story in the league right now. I'm not worried about this loss for the Ravens. I think they're going to be just fine. The defense is good. The running game's good. Lamar Jackson's been really good this year too. So I think it's just a blip in the radar for the Ravens. But this is more about the Bengals and how great of a story that is. So they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. Let's talk about the number 1 seed in the NFC. As DeAndre Hopkins catches a touchdown against his former squad. Kyler Murray has another efficient game. As the Cardinals stay undefeated, they move to 7-0 after trouncing the Texans. Tight end Zach Ertz in his first game after being acquired from Philadelphia. Big catch and run for a touchdown. It was actually the longest touchdown of his career. I think it was 44 yards. It gives just Kyler Murray another weapon because that's what he needed. Arizona was never really tested in this one. Texans are terrible. They got a safety to start the game, but there was no trouble for the Cardinals right now. However, this upcoming Thursday might be their toughest test when they host the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately for Packers fans, Davante Adams might be missing this one because he tested positive for COVID-19 Monday night. So his status is kind of up in the air. If Davante Adams doesn't play, I don't see how the Packers win this game. You have a kind of a shoddy offensive line going against that Cardinals front. Kind of a recipe for disaster. So hopefully Adams can play because that would be the marquee matchup for this week coming up. And it'd be two fun teams to watch. But yeah, we'll check on the Adams COVID situation going forward. So that does it for the NFL recap. Let's move over to the UFAFL recap. We talked about the Hydra earlier. Their defense dominates as they defeat the blockchain bounty hunters. Hydra gets double-digit performances from 4 defenders, including 32 points from Cardinals linebacker Marcus Golden. So they're now 6-1. They're a very scary team because despite their record, they haven't really got much out of the receiving core. Like Tyreek Hill, he's wide receiver 2 in UFAFL scoring. But it's a lot more boom and bust this year with Tyreek compared to the years past, where he was like usually just good for 15 points a game. Chiefs offense, we talked about, it's been inconsistent this year. I still think Tyreek Hill, he's obviously a stud. But Robert Woods and T. Higgins have been disappointing for the Hydra. If those two guys ever get it going, then the Hydra is going to be in it for the long haul. But the Hydra face another tough challenge this upcoming week as they take on the 5-2 Stormbreakers. The Empire and Circa Sports Trout stay undefeated. The Trout gets 62 points from Mac Jones and Damian Harris The Patriots smacked around the Jets this past week. They also get a massive game from Kyle Pitts and 3.5 sacks from their defensive ends to send the Rage to 2-5. And then the Empire get 45 points from their defensive tackle spot. That's insane. Plus, they get points, big games from DK Metcalf and Chris Godwin as they take advantage of the Ghost Riders, who had many of their Pittsburgh Steelers on bye. These two teams will play each other in the biggest matchup of the UFAFL to date. We'll have more on that matchup later on. We also wanted to talk about the Modern Conference South Division. This is super close. It's probably the closest division right now in UFAFL. One game separates all 4 teams in this conference, which is pretty unbelievable if you think about it. The Legion have won 4 games in a row to take the division lead, with Lamar Jackson running the show for them. The CanWest Gladiators defeated the Angels this past week with some big defensive performances. The Resistance have lost 3 in a row after winning the first 3 games of the season, so they're 500. And the Kingsmen, they're the only 4th place team in the UFAFL with 3 wins, so they're not behind at all. We'll see what happens in Week 8, but keep an eye on this division because it seems like it's going to be a battle all year long. So let's move over to our Stock Up, Stock Down segment, my favorite segment of the week. And we'll start off with Stock Up and the Atlanta Falcons. My Stock Up for this week. Matt Ryan, Mr. Consistent. The guy is always going to throw for 4,000 yards. And over his last 4 weeks, he's averaging 300 yards a game. He's got 10 touchdowns to 1 interception. And he's got some good weapons right now. Calvin Ridley finally scored this past week. And oh boy, Kyle Pitts, back-to-back 100 receiving yard games. He's the first rookie tight end since 1970 to have back-to-back 100-yard games. I wasn't so sure about him at the start of the season. I thought he was overhyped. He was getting drafted as like the tight end 5 or 6, depending on your league and your settings. I didn't really think maybe he'd be a good keeper going forward, but at this pace right now, he might be close to like 1,000 yards and maybe 7 to 9 touchdowns, and he's been an absolute stud. Like, he's making one-handed catches. He lines up all over the field. He looks like a wide receiver. He's just been an absolute beast, and it's been really good for Matt Ryan because after losing Julio Jones, he needed a second option, and Pitts is filling in that role nicely. The next 3 games for the Falcons, you're not really scared about any of these matchups. The Panthers, the Saints, the Cowboys. The Cowboys would be a shootout. The Panthers look like trash right now. And New Orleans is tough, but it's a division matchup, and Matt Ryan knows that division. So if you have any Falcons in your lineup, even kicker Younghoe Koo, he's usually pretty clutch, and he hits bombs. So if you have any, aside from Mike Davis, that running back, he hasn't really seen the field much lately, but play all your Falcons in all your other leagues. And for my stock down this week, oh God, this guy's burned me a couple times. It's the Chicago Bears, specifically Justin Fields, who's just been absolutely atrocious to begin his NFL career. I don't know if it's him or it's Matt Nagy, but 16.7 QB rating. It's the lowest in the NFL for qualified starters. Yikes. He's not even running the ball. You don't even really see flashes. Usually with stud quarterbacks, even with bad coaching, you see like a couple throws that you're like, okay, well, he's got potential. He's not even doing that right now. Allen Robinson might be one of the most disappointing wide receivers of the season. He's wide receiver 61 in UFAFL scoring. He doesn't get the ball, and he's losing the number 1 spot on his team to Darnell Mooney. But the Bears offense in total, 32nd in total yards per game, just above 255 total yards. Just think about that. Some teams are averaging like 290 yards passing, and the Bears are getting 255 total yards. Aside from like Khalil Herbert, the 6th-round rookie, he's had 2 good weeks back-to-back, especially against the Buccaneers this past week, where usually no running backs do well, especially running the ball against the Tampa Bay stout defense. He actually looks pretty good. He's got some juice to him. So if you're desperate, you might be able to get away with playing Khalil Herbert. But Damian Williams just got off COVID, and David Montgomery might be back in a couple weeks too. So it's probably just better to avoid the Chicago Bears situation altogether, just because, yikes, what an abysmal season. And Matt Nagy caught COVID apparently yesterday, and hell, if he doesn't call the plays, it might be a good thing for Chicago. So let's move on to my best bet segment. And yes, we talked about this earlier, but the battle of the undefeateds comes to blows in Week 8. It's like Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan when the Trout take on the Empire. When I looked deeper into the numbers, I didn't realize that the Trout had 600 points more than the Empire at this point in the season. this should be a good matchup. However, the Trout, they don't really have any of their good players on bye in week 8. Neither do the Empire when I look into it, but it's hard for me to bet against the Trout. They're 91-point favorites going into this week. Yeah, it is a tough, that's a big spread, but you can say that I'm going fishing because I believe in the Trout to go to 8-0 and to put a hurt on the Empire. Can't trip the Empire. They've had a really good season, even with Daniel Jones running the show. But this might be the week where they get their first loss. I'm gonna count on that. Well, everyone, let's go back to our Merchtober giveaway. But before Merchtober, we're gonna break down this trade once again, guys, because this is unbelievable. I see the chat group is lighting up about this, where I can't believe the Crypto Warriors sent Jonathan Taylor and a first and second rounder for Dalvin Cook. Like, if I did this I have 2 home leagues, I have 2 keeper leagues, I have Jonathan Taylor in 1. If I gave up Jonathan Taylor and my first and second round pick to the guy who have Dalvin Cook right now, I'm pretty sure the boys would boot me out of the league, even though I am the commissioner. It just seems, I just don't like this trade at all, especially when you consider this league with salary cap implications. Jonathan Taylor is going to be on that rookie contract for another couple years. And Dalvin Cook, like we talked about with Brad, he's 28 years old. How many more elite seasons does he really have? Obviously, when he's healthy, he's a stud. He does it both on the ground and through the air. In a full-point PPR league, yeah, he's an absolute stud. But Jonathan Taylor's been doing the same thing. Like, he's been unreal the last couple of weeks, and that offense is just getting better. So, but there's been a lot of big trades so far in the UFAFL. So one thing about this league, it doesn't really go quiet no matter what day of the week it is. We'll see how this works for both teams going forward. But CanWest, congratulations, because I think you guys got an absolute steal. So before we wrap up the show, guys, I want to remind you about Merchtober. Once again, this is the last time we're going to do it for this month. At Michael SKRZ, send me the hashtag SkrizzyStat with the Tom Brady stat that you see there at the bottom of the screen for a chance to win some real cool UFAFL gear. Any logo of your choice, guys. Plenty. You got t-shirts. We're going to get hats made. You're going to get you got sweaters out there. It's getting cold outside, guys. It's -2. It's about 2 degrees right now in Toronto. It's going to get cold. Put your logo on a sweater. Hell, just put a UFAFL logo on a t-shirt or anything that you like. Congratulations once again to our winner from last week, Mike Ross. You might have seen him star on the hit show Suits, but he's also the co-owner of the Stormbreakers. Thank you, Mike, once again for taking the time to hit me up on Twitter. And thank you guys for tuning in to another amazing episode of UFAFL Nation. Brad Nyikos, once again, thank you for taking the time for joining me. Thank you to my technical guru, Dean Millard, behind the scenes, who I know is looking forward to the World Series, which starts tonight. Congratulations to the guys, Andy Mack and everybody at UFAFL, who had a very successful weekend with the launch of the Legends League. Saw a lot of cool photos on Instagram. You guys can go through Andy's Twitter. You can go through UFAFL Twitter, the Instagram accounts. A bunch of pictures, a bunch of cool moments from this past weekend. A lot of big things happening in the UFAFL. And thank you guys once again for taking the time to tune in to watch this. And we will catch you again next week.